And we are live, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a special edition of the Sling'N podcast. I'm TJ.
And I'm Ket.
And I'm Frank.
Joining us tonight, and joining us is Frank's here. Hi, Frank.
Hi. We talked about aliens tonight. I got my hat.
Yeah. Well, someone needs to meet their...
Yeah, that was me. My bad.
Yeah, see? That's...
Anybody?
We got to quit
my background. Anybody want to see my background?
We see your background with your 90 score.
That's 100. That's a Hundo V8. Look at it.
I see line breaks. I don't know if it counts. We need to call Derek Watkins in here to see if it counts.
Yeah.
Oh, Derek Watkins.
Yeah. So, how have you guys been?
Oh, we've been. How about you, man?
Been pretty good. Doing 2-a-days in training this week and next week and the week after. Getting ready for this tournament coming up. So, I'll tell you what, ain't nothing going to wear your ass out like an hour of cardio and then an hour of just fighting people.
Everything I just had to say was so inappropriate that I filtered it. I see your eye.
I saw the look in your face where you just like etch a sketch that thought. You're just like, no, I'm not going to say that.
Right.
Like you even did the little head shake, like, nope, forget it, and it's gone.
Not saying that.
Gone.
It was a thing that was going to be said, and now I'm not saying it. So I think we should acknowledge the fact that Frank has tinfoil on his head and an army of Kriegers in the background.
Yeah, look, there's an army of Kriegers in the background, tinfoil on our buddy Frank, and we're here to talk about aliens, and there is, I'm hoping, enough vodka in this cup to get us through that conversation.
We're not actually going to talk about aliens.
No.
Well, I think we would be remiss if we didn't.
I mean, just a little bit.
Just a
not
little
like a lot. Just a little bit.
Inquiring minds want to know, Frank, where are all the damn aliens? Okay, Frank.
Yep. All the aliens everywhere.
Frank is
they're in space somewhere.
I mean, we do tend to wax philosophically here, but are we alone in the universe? I think it's a legitimate question.
Statistically speaking, it would make sense for there to be aliens.
Right. Frankistically speaking, the only way possible for Frank to exist is if there are, in fact, aliens.
I never thought about it that way, but having known Frank for quite some time now.
Frank is an alien.
Yeah,
look, the minute we start talking about aliens, he puts up his smoke screen.
I will neither confirm or deny.
I think the more important question is do aliens believe in us?
So all right. So I'm kind of like Rogan-esque on this one. I'm really into the Joe Rogan point of view. To us, or to the aliens, we're probably just like ants or something. Like they probably genuinely know we exist, but don't put a lot of time into thought about us.
We'll come back. We'll come back in a few millennia when
right.
when they figure out which bathroom to use.
Right. Like I'm sure they're not like, So the most recent conversation I heard on the topic of aliens was all about like, why haven't the aliens landed on the front like lawn of the White House?
Right.
And to the aliens, they're probably looking down like, it's just another dickhead. Like nobody cares who's in charge or who they think is in charge.
It's like, it's like when you're driving like through your state and it's through familiar areas and you're like, oh, should we go to this Walmart? No, you don't go to that Walmart. You go to the other Walmart. Right. It's like, nope, we don't go to that planet.
Yeah, really.
Go to the other planet.
That probably is very true. They're probably like, we're probably the Dollar Tree or Boost Mobile of planets.
Yeah. Cricket Wireless.
I don't know, Frank. What do you think? Aliens?
Yeah. I'm definitely in Camp Alien.
Has anybody here ever had an experience that they're willing to admit to on a podcast?
No.
No, you haven't had an experience.
Actually,
no, you won't admit.
Actually, no. I will tell a story about from my childhood, right? And this is a no shit story. This really fucking happened. So I can't remember. I can't remember exactly how old I was, but it's one of my earliest memories. We in Virginia. I I even remember the name of the street we lived on. Whisperwood Drive was the name of the street. I remember waking up in the middle of the night. I don't know what the hell woke me up in the first place, but I woke up. I walked out of my bedroom and I'm walking through the house, and I remember these bright green lights shining through all the fucking windows. Like to the point where it's like permeating the window, throwing it up on the wall, and like the whole house, inside of the house, is like bathed in this green light, and it's all coming from outside. I, like most kids, I was easily under the age of 7, right? So I remember looking for my mom and my dad. I don't know if they just didn't hear me or they were just that sound asleep or whatever was going on, but they never responded. Shit, bro. I remember getting scared and then running back to my room and like getting under my covers. But like to this day, my parents don't remember it. I clearly remember my brother was sound asleep. I was the only one that walked up, got through the house. But yeah, it tripped me the fuck out. And there's probably some completely logical, reasonable explanation for it. But that was probably the most eerie. That was probably the most eerie situation I can ever remember experiencing firsthand.
You think it was a dream?
No, it definitely was not a dream. I can guarantee you that much. But it's some spooky shit, right? Like this was coming through all the windows in the house.
Nope.
Nope.
Yeah, Frank's like, I would have been in the bed with you, man. We're getting the hell out of here. It's a safe place. Get under the blanket, bitch. Aliens with their infinite technology compared to us travel light years to visit this planet. They can't get through a blanket.
You know what's funny? Like, imagine their perspective being like, oh, look, that little one got under a blanket. What do you think?
Oh, look at him. He has hope.
But I mean, what? Okay, so what are they doing here? If they're here, why are they here?
Why, dude? Why are any of us here, right? But I would imagine probably exploration, curiosity, the same thing that we would do if we were able to get any better with, interstellar travel than what we are or what we're capable of today, like getting to the moon and shit.
We never went.
But it would be exploratory regardless, right?
I gotta think so. I swear to God, we're gonna start talking about guns.
Yeah, we will. I promise. So, okay, what is it that makes you believe in aliens? Aside from Frank being excited about probing.
All right. So, if you want me to be really, really, really honest with you, I just love the idea. Okay, we're going to be adults now here. We'll all go back to being adults. I'll go be an adult. Hold on. It's adults time. There we go. Okay. All is right with the universe. So I really, really, really enjoy the thought of there being more out there from the perspective of like exploration and hope and curiosity. And, I don't want to think that we're just it. I don't like that thought so much.
Right, but I guess my question is there anything about like what we can observe on our own planet that might be indicative of extraterrestrial life?
Oh, pyramids.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the pyramids.
Yeah, that's one of the first things that comes to my mind. But Frank, what do you got?
I'm not necessarily thinking about pyramids and stuff like that, but take other species of animals and things like that, like an octopus, right? Take this brilliant, multi-cell, like an amoeba-looking, no bones in it thing, and stick it in an environment that it is absolutely perfect for, and then take a look at us, completely different, however, it doesn't matter how you want to think about it, but completely different, type of intelligent animal that's on this planet. And how did all of this happen? I believe in intelligent design, but why would you be so close-minded to think that there isn't other places where this could happen? Why do you think it's not happening or hasn't happened on this planet? I feel like it's a closed-minded point of view to think that this is the only place in the entire universe, in the cosmos, that there is life.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that's a reasonable assessment, right? It's borderline agnostics.
Yeah.
Right. It's borderline agnostics. I don't disbelieve, but I don't necessarily believe yet either. But I'm not so narrow-minded that I won't allow myself to imagine the possibility that something does exist. I'm with you, Kent. Though, like I look at things like the pyramids, Stonehenge, like all these different quote unquote man-made wonders of the world. And number one, the mechanical engineering required to even perform those activities with the technology they had at the time is mind-boggling. But number two, I think what really bakes my noodle, let's just even get past the mechanical engineering piece and the technology piece, the accuracy, the precision in which these things were built
and placed and located
and placed in alignment with the stars.
Yep.
Right? It
across multiple cultures across the planet at different periods of time. Yeah, come on.
Yeah.
And engineering feats that are similar between cultures that had no other method or chance at the time of intermingling with each other.
Right.
So here's all right. I'll just go with the pyramids just because it's easy. We couldn't build them today to the level of specificity, the leveling within a 2-inch span. So I watched a thing where they broke down the engineering on the pyramids and how much effort it would take a construction firm, like the best construction firm on the planet, to build those pyramids. And they're talking about it being like a lifespan long project where one man couldn't see it through. Not because he didn't have the knowledge, but because literally it would take that long to accomplish it. And apparently, poof, now there's pyramids.
Right. Also, the interesting fact that everyone, at least we were taught, and understandably textbooks improve, right? As knowledge is gained, right? Originally, we were led to believe that the pyramids were built as monuments, tombs,
right,
for pharaohs. I could be wrong, but I distinctly remember hearing that not a single sarcophagus has actually been exhumed from the pyramids. Right? They build these grand structures, literally listed as one of the 7 wonders of the world, for entombment of their emperors and kings. And not a damn body was found in there. Right. At least not yet.
Yep.
It's some spooky shit, bro.
I think they were a power plant.
Yeah, Scotty's right. Aligned with magnetic poles. Yeah, I think we touched base on placement too. And they're not the only ones. Like, Aztecs, if you take a look at their pyramids. I literally watched a thing about it earlier today where, you can stand in front of the Aztec pyramids. You can stand in front of them. Anytime that there's a loud clap or noise, normally the pyramids would reflect that sound off. Well, on the ones with the Aztec, they have their temple that's set on top of the pyramid, and it echoes perfectly back to the sender. So you can literally stand in front of the pyramid, clap, and it'll echo out of through the temple of this on top of this pyramid, and you can hear it back in front of it while you're standing at the base. It's so freaking cool. Why?
Hey, man, I don't know.
See, I thought we were talking about a different kind of alien. So originally, I thought we were talking about the Lugo.
Oh, the Lithuago arms alien?
Yeah, testing aliens. Admittedly, I could have done better with the titling. Okay.
That is on my docket. That is on my list.
You don't own one yet, do you?
Not yet.
No.
I know. I've done a ton of research. It's a bunch of people are like, no. It's gonna happen.
Experience. I got a buddy who's got one. He'll give it to you for a pack of cigarettes.
I'll take it.
That bad, huh?
It ain't good.
I will absolutely take it.
I know. You and me, we're on this crusade to keep all the students on the planet from having the terrible guns, and somehow we end up with them ourselves.
So I got a good friend of mine who just told me today that a bunch of Yeet cannons just got released online. They're 155.
I'm not buying a high point U cannon. The worst gun I quote unquote bought all year was the Taurus Judge, I think.
You bought that as a public service, though.
Well, okay, but this is true.
Give me that shit.
Yeah, I have bought some pretty
retarded
stupid
Watkins.
stuff.
Yeah,
or no, not Watkins. Right, the other Derek W. What treaty? He's talking about the treaty. Derek Wright, what is the treaty? Somebody tell me what the treaty is. Gunset, Scott. Gunset, what do you have?
He's got a Yeet cannon. He's got a Yeet cannon.
You got a Yeet cannon in stock?
I got a Yeet cannon. I love it. The day, so I picked this thing up in Hickory, drove to the range. The day that we got it on the range, we gave it the ominous range blessing. We gave it a good range paint job of rattle can and dirt, and broke off the rear sight or front sight, broke off the front sight on accident, and then discovered the only way that you can shoot it is literally gangsta style. If you have a proper grip, if your thumbs touch the slide at all, it will not function.
Huh. Imagine that.
Yep. On a blowback. Operated semi-auto handgun. Garbage. You can bludgeon somebody to death literally with it.
Garbage.
Before you'll hurt them.
You know it's funny. What are the chances that the people I took the Taurus Judge from are watching right now?
Right.
I just literally got a text message from the homeboy. He's like, "F you. We still love you." That's hilarious.
Sky's another good one. I have a couple Skies. Bursa Thunders. I got a couple Bursa Thunders floating around here somewhere.
Bursa Thunders.
Yeah, buddy. Little 380.
Now we're down the rabbit hole of terrible guns. We have I swear to God, we have a useful topic tonight.
The Mansfield Glock.
Oh, what's this? The Mansfield. That's funny. What's this new? Who's the AR company? Aero Precision, Anderson Manufacturing. Anderson Manufacturing just came out with a Gen 3 Glock.
Yep.
Did you see that?
No, I did not, but that deserves a Google.
A $300 Gen 3 Glock with all the fixings. So for those of you that may not realize, the third generation of Glocks patents have run out. So now every shitwagon third-rate gun company on the face of the planet can go out and clone the Generation 3 Glock design, like point for point, and sell it as their own.
Yep.
So now, let's see, Palmetto State's doing that. Brownells has been doing that kind of for a while. Polymer 80's been doing it. And now we're treated to yet another one.
The Kiger?
The Dollar General Glock. Derek Wright, what is the treaty? Type into the chat what the treaty is. Frank, do you know what he's talking about?
No. The treaty. I don't know.
It's all about like a treaty, I would imagine, between the aliens and us or whatever. All right. So, you guys want to talk about testing guns?
Yeah, I think it's about time we actually got into to the real topic of the night. Although, aliens, to be continued.
We see you, aliens. We see you. We see you. We're paying attention. We see you. That's so scary, Frank. All right, so oftentimes customers will hit us up, students training, whatever, and they'll buy a gun, they'll buy something, they'll go buy a piece of gear, whatever, and they'll start to evaluate it based on criteria that maybe don't necessarily meet their own use case. And even if they do have it figured out what their actual use case is, and they do know what they need and what they want, they talk about testing the gun, and quite unfortunately, they have this tendency to test it in the most optimal conditions for it to function, and they don't consider any outside, like what would happen to the gun if you induced a malfunction, or what would happen to the gun if substandard ammo was used? What would happen to the gun if a part of your body, like you were talking about the yeet cannon, the high point gun, that you can't grip right because your thumb slow the slide down? One of those deals where guys will test these guns in only the optimal condition, or their version of quote unquote testing isn't really testing. And then they'll start making claims, and they'll put an info out on the internet. And now they've got a YouTube channel, and the next thing you know, some poor sucker is out buying the new whiz bang crazy shotgun or the new goofy whatever that really, quite honestly, doesn't work in any context. But they want it to work because they saw and they believed it. So Gunset here, Scotty Cronin's got a great saw post tonight. Guy who allegedly has fired 80,000 rounds through his MP9. Never cleaned it once. Pictures on it, Instagram. Da. So here's the thing with the round counts, guys. I'm as somebody who's been a super high volume shooter for a long minute. If you're gonna start telling me you've got 80, 90, 100,000 rounds through a gun, through a weapon system, I have some questions for you about it. My first question is, I want to see your fucking ammo budget. I want to see the bills, right? Because if you've got 80,000 rounds of 9mm downrange in 2022, you've got freaking $240,000 in ammo budget, right? Like, well, no, wait, not quite, but you get what I'm saying. Hold on, let's do the math here.
So I had while you're doing the math, I had Dan Brady.
$24,000 ammo budget.
Yeah, I had Dan Brady shoot me a question. We were talking about optics and some other stuff, so we just want some round counts. And so on my first talking about optics specifically. So on my first SRO, went back and looked at my book. I had like 63,000 rounds on it before it had induced malfunction and it screwed up. That was the first gen battery cap issue on the SROs. Now this one, the one that's on my carry gun right now, I'm at 243,000 rounds. Now this is since 2019.
Yep.
So that's over the course of 3 years or 4 years or something like that. So that's not something like that's not bad. But again, we shoot high round count stuff. That's we shoot a lot of rounds throughout the course of a year, generally speaking, especially pre-COVID. It was a non-issue. We're talking 13 cents a round, 14 cents a round. Even that as low as 9 cents. 9 cents is the lowest I've ever had it shooting bullseye. But when you start talking about round counts, stuff like that, that's where we really start testing and getting into the capabilities of a particular platform. But going back to what you were saying, where somebody's not being able to test a gun in these optimal, or they're testing in these optimal conditions. I've seen it even less than that. I've seen it where a guy will walk into a store, or go, yeah, that feels good, I'll buy it. And that's it. That is,
yep.
Where he'll go, ominous, here you go, wife, this is now your carry gun. And, she's got a airweight 38 or something like that, this 15-pound, hammer spring because she's too weak to run a slide on a Easy 9 or whatever it may be. So, I think more often than not, we end up seeing the people who either inherited something, which, I'm not going to knock that, or the ones who just go, yeah, that looks good, or somebody told me to buy this, so I bought it. Now this is what I use, with no idea, no concept, no practice of putting any forethought of the things that you had just talked about. The malfunctions, the gun actually cycling. How do you as a person maintain that particular type of firearm or not? What kind of abuse it's going to go through. There's all kinds of things to consider.
So one of the things that I want to kind of dispel, I want to talk about manufacturers and a thought process that you would hope would be true, but is not. Because I've had students, XYZ company would never put out a bad product. They care too much about their right. Yeah, dude, they care
more about their bottom line.
Yeah, or they sell guns to the military, or they sell guns to law enforcement, or You know, they
I could go on for days about military contracts.
right, dude. I mean, the lowest bidder got most of the mill contracts. But meanwhile, look, anybody who does anything for a living does it bad a couple days a year, right? Just any guy. If you got Bobby the plumber, and Bobby the plumber plumbs 286 days a year. Those are his working days. I promise you, Bobby the plumber's had 6 bad working days a year. Promise he has. He's messed some stuff up. He misdiagnosed something on a boiler. It cost a little extra money for a customer, whatever. My point being, nobody's perfect. Multi-million-dollar manufacturing companies that make firearms are not perfect. They're comprised of humans who run technology for a living. Like, they're not perfect. Oh, there's the Gunset logo.
There went the Gunset logo. I had it for like half a second. Sorry.
That's
Continue.
fine. My point being, why would you think a company isn't fallible? Then, why would you think a company wouldn't dump some product on the American consumer just to make a buck? You think guns are somehow immune to that? I mean, has anybody ever bought a bullshit tuner for a truck that didn't really do anything? Has anybody ever bought a computer gadget that didn't work the way they said it would?
I'll fucking call him out. 6 Hour.
Oh, let's do it. Oh, here we go, Steve. Steve Dar's in the chat. This one's for you, baby. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. I love it. Fucking Sig and the 320 triggers, baby.
Or literally 75% of the products they put out. And that's only because I'm not including their optics and other shit.
Every
right?
design they've ever made that's been product tested on the American consumer for the last 50 years.
Which is just about every product that they put out, right?
Yeah, dude. Like how my MPX has 3 generations.
Right.
And you have to pick.
I mean, the P320 is low hanging fruit. Right?
Yep.
It's low hanging fruit.
Yeah, if you drop it, you better catch it.
Yeah, the P365. Right? The striker issues that they were having. That is a perfect example. Now, listen, full disclosure, I like SIG guns.
Me too.
I do. I think the designs are really good. I think that their engineering is very good. The overall performance is phenomenal. But I can't go buy one because I know that there's going to be problems with it. At least there's enough data to reasonably suspect that there's going to be problems with it.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to say I wouldn't go and buy something like that, but I would buy it with zero intention of carrying it. You know, it would literally be a range toy
until you had tested and vetted it.
Right.
And so that's kind of what we're talking about, how to figure out. So for example, let's talk about some baselines. Frank, you got a new handgun.
Yep.
What are you going to do? What are you going to put the new handgun through? What are you going to do to it? What are you going to do with it before you feel like, yeah, I can slide that bitch in my holster and carry it? Like I'm going to, my family's life is going to depend on this tool. What are you going to make it do?
I am going to put it through hell. So any handgun that I would cycle into, for carry use. So I have my primary EDC gun, and the way that it becomes my primary EDC gun is I will take it to the range and I will shoot it and shoot it and shoot it some more and go through all the normal rigorous training, dropping it, beating it up, whatever it may be. And I want to make sure that it is flawless. I have no problems with it at all. I don't start tweaking and messing with it until I feel confident that it is broken. All the newness is kind of worn off. All the little burrs and nicks and things like that are, softened over. And it's been thoroughly gone through. I mean, that's me. I'm not one of those people that's going to open up a box and go, yep, that's good enough for me, and stick it in a holster. I want to make sure that I know that gun intimately before I consider it for EDC use. Now, with that said, you know, I want to make sure that it's set up, you know, optimal for the way that I prefer. You know, so, you know, for me personally, I'm going to have a particular optic. I'm going to have a particular type of trigger in it. I'm going to do the same procedure. Make sure that with that thing that I've changed, that everything is 110% on it for EDCs. But that's me.
So let's get specific. Round
Okay.
counts, ammunition types.
So as far as ammunition types, I try. So as we have talked about in the past, I reload a round that is very similar to what my carry round is. So it's 147 grain projectile berries is typically what I'll run for something like that. And I'll put, I would say at least, you know, 1,000 rounds, 2,000 rounds through it before I feel confident, you know, in that particular handgun, minimally. And then same thing with, you know, the optic. Like, you know, I prefer the Trijicon SRO. That's my go-to optic. I've carried it since 2019. I prefer that particular optic. So that's what I'm going to use. That's what I'm sticking to currently. You know, other things, the mounting bracket, you know, for that optic, you want to make sure that it's not walking on you or not moving. You want to make sure that there's adequate round count through it. If you have a mounting bracket, or, you know, if you get it sent out to get milled, you want to make sure that it's zeroed properly. The trigger, anytime that you, especially on any gun system, everything works together, right? So, you know, all the intricacies of the trigger, if it's a striker fired firearm, all the intricacies of how the springs work with that striker. If it's a hammer based, same thing, how those springs react with actually, you know, pulling a hammer back and, you know, setting, you know, working that action. There's all different things that can potentially fail. And you want to, like I said, stress it and beat it up and intentionally drop it and really go through the gambit of, you know, what potentially could this thing go through. I'm not saying necessarily abuse it, but for me, you know, it's important for me to know that if I drop this thing, it's not going to, you know, kick a spring and then it's DOA. Like, I want to make sure that it can still work.
Okay. So
does that work?
Yeah. So here's some stuff I wanted to delve into. Number one, test your equipment with duty ammo. So if your duty is defense of your own home, fine. If your duty is law enforcement, mill, whatever. When I say duty ammo, I mean whatever the ammo it is that you're going to have in it when you shoot that guy or girl or squirrel or deer or alien. You better damn sure make sure that stuff runs that gun, right? So if you're going to be the guy who's, hey man, you know, look, I'm gonna carry 147 grain HST, which I do. I damn sure want to be shooting at least a couple hundred rounds, 147 grain HST out of that gun before I'm gonna trust that ammo. And yeah, I know, like you dudes are talking money in the chat. Look, I get it, right? 147 grain HST, I spent 75 cents a round on when I bought it.
Yeah. Hold up.
What?
I've got to speak to this. Having been on the other side of the gun counter, it ain't a problem of money.
Yeah, I know.
It's a problem. It's a problem of priority.
I know.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. It's a problem of priority. That's exactly what it is.
Yep. Because the dude telling you he can't afford to shoot 500 rounds of HST has 3 shotguns, 2 yeet cannons, and a freaking crossbow he never uses.
Yeah, I mean,
you're
talking about even 1,000 rounds of HST or Gold Dot or something like that. I tend to carry a Spear Gold Dot. You know, it's $750 for a case of 1,000. That's going to last you a minute. Like, it's going to last you a while. And that's Frank talking when I go, what? You haven't replaced that in how long? Have a box. Like, just, you know, Trey. I'm talking to you, Trey.
Well, yeah, but I've seen it time and time again. These people roll in with, it's the same people that live in a trailer but have a $100,000 vehicle.
Right.
Right. or they can't put food on the table, but they got a 75-inch screen TV on their wall.
And nails.
Right. Yeah, and nails and all sorts of shit, right? I can't tell you how many people I've seen on like swiping an EBT card at the grocery store or whatever,
Right.
for their food, and then pull out a gangster roll of cash for all the other useless shit they're gonna buy, right?
Right.
Miss me with that. I can't afford it. Shit. Look, if the reality is, and since we're talking about gun testing and stuff here, right? If the reality is, you either buy a piece of shit today, or you go without and save your money to get something valuable and then training with it, then save the damn money. I was working at a gun store making $10 an hour, right? I didn't have the resources that I have today, nor the financial maturity, right, to have it. And I came out of the military. You think I had money saved up after I came out of the military?
Hell no. You had a Mustang with 24% interest, and
no, hold on, I wasn't that stupid.
I still haven't learned that one yet.
I wasn't that bad. Yeah, well, Frank, no disrespect on the cars, but the reality is, I knew that if I wanted a quality product, I needed to save my money. Right? If that meant going without for right now, so be it. But it's a buy once, cry once thing, right? I saved my money and I eventually bought my first Glock. Right? Was I rocking a Taurus before that? Yeah, because I didn't fucking know any better. But two, I could have taken that $230 or $250 that I spent on that fucking Taurus and put it towards that Glock to begin with, right?
If I could do it all over again differently, I was rocking that Ruger P89, that DA double action single action. It was because it was given to me, right? That was the gun that my grandfather said, "Here you go, Frank. This is yours." As a 18-year-old kid, but if I could do it all over again, I would have invested in a quality firearm, something that I would have gone to the range with an instructor and test fired and shot. I would have learned, what works for me, what doesn't, what actually fits my hand, what doesn't, because not every gun works. And I would have had that one gun and learned how to use that one gun. I would have dumped money in ammo. I would have dumped money in training. There's
right.
And I'm not saying I regret anything. I don't. I would be a little farther, more advanced than where I am now if I did. Had done that originally. But for the other guys that, I constantly got friends and stuff like that will go, oh well, what gun should I get? Your carry gun. You need to get training and ammo. You don't need anything else. So. I don't know. Now for those new guys, the ones who are, or gals, excuse me, for the newer shooter, we'll have somebody that will come out for like a concealed carry or something like that and say, oh, well, I don't have a gun, or a basic special shooting class. I don't have a gun. I'm not sure what to get. I'm like, should I go buy one before? I'm like, no. We have plenty that you should come play with. Like, let's learn firearm safety and then come shoot this stuff. Let's find what works good for you and how you're going to carry it,
Right.
I think it would be awesome to be rocking like a Magnum 500, wheel gun every single day, but it's not practical. Right?
Hold on. I'm not particularly proud of this, but I wasn't directly involved. I was third party to this transaction. But we had this little old lady come into the gun store and no shit buy a 3-inch barrel snub nose 500 Smith & Wesson with no ammo. And this little lady, like, she ain't shooting this 500. Like, it ain't happening.
Right.
But the mentality was, all I have to do is show this. And yes, we know you scored well on your B8, Kent. We get it. You put it on the refrigerator. I'm going to do the same thing I tell my kids. Put it on the refrigerator, honey. But yeah, no shit. Little old lady bought a Smith & Wesson 500 stubby. What?
Yeah.
Okay.
See, and like what Scotty just said, he's all over guns. He sold all of his cool guy stuff. Now he owns 3 Gen 319s. Scotty found what works for him. right?
Yep.
And he's running it. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying, find what works for you. Vet it, get with an instructor, get on the range, practice, put rounds through it, find what you can, absolutely slay, and then stick with it. Stick with the ammo, stick with, and then on the other side is, keep your gun running. My current carry gun, the one that's got like 240 some odd thousand rounds through it, it is not factory parts. Hell, it's not even the parts that I have in it aren't the parts that have been in it for all 240 some odd thousand
All
rounds.
right,
I have
now-
replaced many parts in that
There
thing.
we
Hell,
go.
hell,
And
Now
hell,
we're
my
up and running.
Glock 19's Frankenstein together with a bunch of shit that we found in Kent's truck.
I've put many, but the difference between, and I don't want to sound arrogant, but the difference is, like, I've put a ton of time. I've spent a ton of time, like, working on these guns. I've taken classes. I have, the basic and the advanced armors, Glock armors courses. Like, I've spent like time, energy, and money into researching these and understanding intimately how they work and how they function on this particular platform. Like the Glock platform, I'm very familiar with. And just so because of that, I can do my function checks. I can go through and I can put in different parts and I can try different parts. I'm not going to say I'm going to drop in my carry gun yet, not until they're vetted, but I can try different parts and say, okay, well, this is new on the market, or I haven't seen this before. Let me play with this for a little while. That's how I found those dumb, the 3-stage recoil rods by DP Mess Systems. It's a phenomenal little recoil rod assembly. That's Greek made, but that thing has made a world of difference. And it wasn't, I bought it and stuck it in my carry gun and went and used it. It was same process I was talking with you guys before at the beginning of the show. I bought it and I shot it on the range and I was like, wow, I really like how this feels. Let me put 5,000 rounds through it, 6,000 rounds through it before I decide to carry it or not. Doing everything that Kent was talking about before, you actually using carry ammo and things like that. But, by putting, a ton of rounds through those, putting a ton of rounds through your gun, things are going to break. You need to be able to identify like what is broken and why it's broken and how to fix it. And how to fix it properly. Not just like the kitchen gunsmith, but going through all those function checks and making sure that it's going to cycle properly and starting your process all over again of vetting that particular firearm. So I have two.
Yeah.
I have two EDC guns. I can shut out, but I have two EDC guns. They're mirror copies of each other. They're identical. They're absolutely identical. So if one shits the bed on me, I can go home. I can get out the other one. I can put the other one on my pant, and I'm good to go. Like I can keep going, and then I can go fix that other one that broke and try and figure out why it broke.
Yeah,
I love how you
know.
said
So,
you could go home as if it wasn't
Wow.
in the Pelican case with all the. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So real quick, so Scotty over at Gunset, like, bro, when I was out there at Apache with Kent doing the class a couple weekends ago, Frank let me try that recoil system. I'm impressed. Like, and then I went and looked at the price tag.
Oh yeah, it's like $100. Yeah,
It's $75 on that website, but damn, like I'm like, okay, so there's certainly sticker shock. Like if you were to see it without shooting it, you'd be like, you're out of your fucking mind. Like, no, it's not going to happen
for a recoil spring and
for the ones for that 3-stage one that Frankie has.
Yeah.
Nope, that's too cheap.
Yeah, $100. It's $100. Nothing. That's
cheap.
that it works out phenomenal. All right, so we got a question in chat. Have we ever tried something new and found out it attributed to the failure of something else?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah, I am weary about using skeletonized parts in a EDC gun, like skeletonized strikers, things like that. I have seen to where they have been like strikers specifically. Strikers are is where I found something like that. They're machined to a tolerance. Some of those tolerances can be a little over, some of them can be a little out. If they're not machined properly, especially the striker, if it is sent all the way home, then the very tip of that striker can stick out of the breech face. So you could have an out of battery detonation. Again, it's one of the things where you need to go through and you need to check and you need to vet. That's just that one part. Now, what I've also found is specifically with the striker and that striker spring assembly, if those tolerances aren't right, the spring weight can cause putting a new striker or something like that can cause the spring weight. It's not exactly right, and it can cause malfunction. Those little cups, the spring retention cups, they could not seat properly around the striker, and they can get twisted and cocked on the inside of the striker channel. The recoil rod assembly. You can have a recoil rod assembly that is like an aftermarket recoil rod assembly or something like that. That on many of them, especially like the Gen 3s, Gen 4s, they're held together by these little set screws that are on the on either end of the entire recoil rod assembly. So what will happen is if you don't Loctite those in, you don't Loctite them in properly, they'll back out as you're shooting them, and then those little pins will buck off, and then your gun's all jammed up. I mean, there's all kinds of things that can happen by putting aftermarket parts in if you're not cognizant of how they work and how all the pieces work together. Triggers, right? I had dropped in a I want to say it was one of their Zev Pro triggers or something like that. And then I had a Zev Pro trigger, and it was a Ghost connector. Well, the geometry between those two and that particular gun, and that particular trigger, and that particular, I want to say it was a Rocket or something like that, a Rocket 3.5. That particular connector, the geometry led to where it wouldn't properly allow the striker to fall out of way so that it would cycle properly. So what you would happen is you'd have a very crisp, take up and everything like that. But when you actually felt the gun, you had to really put pressure behind the trigger in order for it to drop low enough for the striker to go. But then it would not catch it on the reset. It wouldn't, the trigger wouldn't catch the striker on the reset. So you would have a runaway gun. It would just go, and dump, clean out your entire magazine. So anyway, there's just so many things that are interdependent with each other on all different platforms. They have to be aware of, not just throw random pieces from different manufacturers in the same thing.
Well, that's one of the, I think I've mentioned it on the show before. Like, one of the things that got me into guns to the degree that I have been, in the last 20 years, is the engineering behind it.
Oh yeah.
Right. These are incredible machines, right? If you really think about what they do, they arguably seem very simplistic, but
yeah,
they're
simple machines. They are simple machines.
But the smallest thing,
yeah,
can impact the overall performance. Right. You take a $5,000 race gun, put a kink in the spring in the magazine,
yeah,
and watch what happens. Right. Cut a coil out of the recoil spring. Watch what happens.
Yeah.
Right. Just the smallest deviations in even the metallurgy, right, or the mechanical design of these things. We talked about intelligent design, right? Balancing things on a razor's edge for perfect harmonization with the sum total of the parts, right? It's amazing. Don't believe me? Lose one detent spring from an AR-15.
Right.
Yeah.
Or my personal favorite, that little bitty fucking cotter pin that holds your firing pin in place in the bolt assembly. Or a gas ring on a bolt for an AR-15.
Right.
So, all right. I'm gonna ask a couple more rapid fire questions. How many rounds of carry ammo till you trust a gun?
300 or so.
Okay.
For me.
How often what's the round count interval between a recoil spring change on a pistol?
That depends on the recoil spring. Usually, if it starts to fail function checks, or if I start noticing it hiccuping, is when I'll start to consider swapping out or replacing it.
I'm writing here's what I'm doing.
40,000 rounds.
All right. Here's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm writing the Ford owner's manual for the F-150, but I'm writing it for
Right.
for the carry gun, right?
Yeah.
So how many rounds of duty ammo before we trust the gun? 300.
Yeah.
How many
Yeah,
rounds?
so there's your break-in period.
Okay. How many
Right.
rounds on a recoil spring?
We'll say 30,000 rounds.
Cool.
Yeah.
I will quibble with you on that, and I will tell you I do it 3 times to your 1.
Okay.
I'm at 10, but whatever.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Let's see. How often do you cycle through, throw away, or tweak magazines on carry guns?
Probably twice a year for me.
Yep.
Every 6 months or so.
So interestingly enough, in my little system, if you look at all my gun setups, you'll notice that all my carry mags for my Glocks are actually the brown ones.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the ones that come out of the guns that I wore to the range that day. And then black mags go in with training ammo, and then brown mags go back in with no shit ammo. Those magazines are marked and synchronized. At present, my brown mags are labeled 2019. That is not the year I started carrying them. That is the year they were purchased. Right. So I threw away 2018's brown Glock mags in 2021. I'm probably about to throw away 2019's brown Glock, or 2019's and then 2020's brown Glock mags. There's about 15 brown Glock mags in my rotation right now. And I'm cycling through them so that I'm not constantly carrying the same 2 mags.
Right. And so something that I do is I have 6 of these base plates that I picked up. And so these
I'm gonna have
base
to steal me a new one.
Yeah. Yeah, no, not these, man. These are my carry plates. I only use these on my carry guns.
Okay.
And so these are like, metal, machine base plates instead of just the stickers. But I'll buy a pack of brand new Glock mags. I'll do the same thing. I've recently started laser engraving on the actual mags, as far as the date and then my name, things like that. But then these base plates these are same base plates I've had. I just swap them out in between the actual magazine bodies, magazine springs, and follower. But like I said, that I do that now about every 6 months.
Awesome. How about striker spring change out? Round count. What are we putting in the Ford owner's manual?
For striker spring, I would probably lean more towards that 5,000 rounds or so.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Spring cups.
Every time I do a spring change.
Why not? Right. You're
Yep.
there. Okay. Full detailed disassembly. Every pin, every spring, every part, every piece comes out of the gun. You have the Glock exploded parts diagram on the table in front of you.
Yep.
How often does that happen?
I do that quarterly.
Regardless of round count.
No. I would do that we'll say 5,000 rounds.
Okay.
Now we're talking like on a carry gun, like a full, like, to take it apart, clean it, the whole 9 yards. Probably, yeah. We'll say 3,000 rounds. I think 5,000 rounds might be a little extended. We'll say 3,000 rounds on a full disassembly. Now on like a quick clean, I'll do that like pretty regularly, like weekly. Like yeah.
Okay. What about battery changes, optics, flashlights?
At least annually, I swap them out every 6 months.
Okay.
When I change my mags, I change my batteries.
Okay. What about holster maintenance? How often are you pulling your holster off and Loctiting screws and checking your belt and checking all your
quarterly?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, about, like I said, every probably 3,000 rounds or so, but at least 4 times a year.
Do you subscribe to the idea that your carry gun should be a pristine little safe queen that only ends up in your holster, and that you should have a range gun to match that carry gun? No. Okay. I'm teetering on this one. I've been in both camps on this in my time. I can see the value of having a strict carry gun that's gotten 500 rounds of duty ammo. It's zeroed. It's the exact same duplicate setup as the training gun, but that carry gun only gets excuse me, that carry gun only gets maybe 10% of the reps that the training gun does, so that the carry gun itself is in more pristine condition. That would I will call that the Tom Givens method, for lack of a better. Givens advocates for that pretty aggressively.
Yeah.
To me, I'm a little more intricate with the tool. I'm a little more like feelingsy, and like, you know, I got my socks I like, I got my underwear I like, I got my rash guards I like, and I got my freaking guns that I like. I want to be real intimate and familiar with my carry gun, that serial number. No shit, that one.
Yeah, I use it literally for every class, every chance that I get, you know, with few exceptions. I'll whip out the dick lock every now and then just for kicks and giggles, but generally speaking, it's my carry gun.
Right.
It was a show stealer at the class.
Oh, speaking of that, I had a dude hit me up about our class photo and say about how he was like, I can't believe you let a guy point a gun at you guys in a class photo. And I was like,
slide.
It was a slide, bro.
I'm sorry,
like,
Kent.
He was like, no, man, that was the whole gun. I was like, no, I was fucking there. I watched him take the slide off the gun. And then, like, we're going back and forth on the internet, and his bro was like, I can't believe you're talking about the fact that he's holding a slide as opposed to the fact that the slide is literally emboldened with Richards all over. And I'm like, yeah, bro, you're not talking about the fact that the slide is painted with Richards. You're talking about the fact that he's holding a slide out. My man was hot and bothered about it for a minute. Like, he was really
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it was just a slide.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
But he was freaking.
Yeah. So for those wondering if you can see this,
Right.
it's quite clearly just the slide.
It's also quite clearly in his right hand at such an angle that there would be no way for him to be gripping the rest of a Glock 17 or 45. But
right.
Okay. Yeah.
Just a slide.
TJ,
also, there's one handsome fucking ginger.
Yeah, I was going to say, you look great.
Us IT guys had to stick together.
Yeah, man. So, all right. Let's talk
besides,
about...
I've seen Frank shoot. I was safe.
What a dick.
Oh, man.
My daughter likes to say, what a deck of cards.
What a deck of cards. So let's talk about...
However, my daughter's like, that motherfucker. Like, honey. Points for context, but...
So... Now let's talk about a testing and vetting procedure and process that we could subscribe to students.
Okay.
Because we need to be honest with it. Like, first,
not everyone's going to do that.
Yeah. Number one, not everyone's going to do what we're going to do. But number two, several of my students are in the show right now. Please don't do your own recoil spring change, or not recoil. Please don't do your own striker spring changes on your Glocks. Just bring me your stuff. Let me help you. Like, yeah. But.
Because God help you if you lose one of them.
Yeah, really. If you lose bing, there goes the spring, right? And it's not that I'm immune to losing them. It's just that I have a drawer full of them.
Yeah, I was going to say, I got a bag of them. Like,
yeah, it's gonna be okay.
So we teach the quick sidebar. We teach a Glock familiarization course where we go through the detailed disassembly of a gun of Glock and everything like that. And I love it when we get to the part where we teach, fully taking off those spring cups and everything. Because if you're quiet, it's like hearing like rice dropping on the ground. It's walking around with a little dime bag of recoil cups. Like, who needs them?
Yeah, really.
It's like a bag of 10mm sockets at the mechanic shop.
Yeah, right. Exactly. For Watson.
Yeah. I think that's pretty funny. The AR build classes are always kind of the same.
Right.
Bing! There goes that detent. But anyway, so we're talking round counts in excess of 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80,000 rounds a year on various guns and platforms and systems. I don't shoot. Honestly, I don't even shoot that much anymore. I'm shooting half of what I used to, 9mm, because my dry fire's gotten so much more regimented.
Right.
But what about the student who's sitting there listening to us going, dude, I shoot about 6,000 rounds a whole year.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So hold on now. Hold on.
I want to.
Here's my problem with this. If you let somebody miss these intervals and you only make it about mileage or round counts, what ends up happening is that the gun gets dirty, fucked up, beaten, and dies just a lonely death from carrying it so much.
Right.
Right. So now you got a gun that's full of freaking pocket lint, and gross, and sweat, and
Yep.
you know.
I mean, our buddy Zach, like he landscapes with his carry gun on him, and that thing gets rusty. I mean, it's just from carrying every day. Like every gun I've ever bought from UCANT, yeah, exactly. Every gun I've ever bought from UCANT has just been absolutely pitted with rust and stuff, and it's from, you know, you love it on it so much. So, you know, I think realistically, like a newer shooter, somebody who has like those lesser round counts, they need to do those disassemblies at minimally those field strips every time they shoot. So if they're on the range that evening or the next day, they need to make it a point sometime soon, the next couple of days, they need to make a point to at least field strip and clean that gun. I would even go as far as saying monthly, you know, every fourth range session or something like that, doing a full tear down, clean, inspect.
Yeah.
It, you know, because that's going to increase their familiarity words with that particular gun, their platform.
Yeah, Frank, I'm glad you said that, because that kind of dovetails perfectly into what I was going to say. You mentioned it earlier in the show. The emphasis is on not necessarily putting a high round count through the gun for the sake of putting a high round count through the gun. The purpose is to put the high round count enough to where you are familiar enough with the firearm so that you can start to diagnose and essentially be in tune when things start to go wrong.
Absolutely.
Right. If you shoot your gun enough, I'm going to ask both of you, how long does it take you? Simple answer. How many rounds does it take for you to get familiar enough with a gun to know that it's not performing to the spec that you would expect it to be reliable?
It is not performing to that spec.
Like a new gun or your gun?
You take a new gun.
Okay.
So you go buy a new gun. At what point are you familiar enough with that gun to where you go shoot it and you're like, hold on, something's off?
Oh,
I don't know.
A couple drills.
Yeah.
That's exactly my point. And you bring up and I mentioned it in the chat here, just kind of chatting on the side with our audience. I will push things until I start noticing failures, right? If I have a gun that doesn't have any failures up to that point, and then all of a sudden I start seeing malfunctions, first thing I'm checking is the magazine. I clean my guns for the sake of not just because I'm worried about them functioning, but also because I want to look at every single component of that firearm to identify things. And this comes a lot from carrying a Beretta for so long, right? Everyone knows that locking block at the bottom of the barrel, that barrel lug, right? Is from the 92F, from the military issue, right? Those things are prone to cracking, right? Taking those guns apart so you can see cracks, fissures, maybe a spring's getting bent, maybe a spring's noticeably weaker. And I would encourage people to learn to take their guns apart, properly, full strip, and actually examine, right? Pick up that little striker spring. See what it feels like when it's brand new.
Yeah.
Right. So you have a baseline to compare it with. It's almost a skill in and of itself for people that can be in tune with the fire. It's no different than driving your truck, right? I know how my truck functions. I know I've got a check engine light on my truck because I know that it needs an evap canister change, right? Whoop-de-doo. I know what it's running like, but as soon as something shimmies or shakes or knocks or bumps or something like that, I'm like, okay, that's new. That's different. I need to examine this and figure out what's going on.
And that's why, like, especially my carry gun, it's so hard for me to put a hard round count on it because I don't really go by round counts. Like, those are guesstimations. I go by how it feels and how it's performing and the function checks. And, like I know that if I'm, I'm not super religious about cleaning my guns. I never, especially, my handguns. If I notice my trigger is starting to get just a little funky, it's time for me to take it apart. If I notice that the speed of which the slide isn't, it's slowed down, or the speed has changed of the slide. I mean, I know it's almost imperceptible, but if you can feel it, right? It's a felt aspect of the gun. It's not a a measured, let's hook up a high-speed camera to it or something like that. Like, it's how it feels. If something feels off, that's when I start to address it. I swap out, I go to my backup carry gun or whatever it is. I swap them out and then identify and figure out what's going on, replace it, fix it. But that's me.
I'm sorry, you said fix it.
Fix it. Yeah.
Yeah. So for those playing the home game, everyone screaming "fix it" at different times ultimately sounds like a bunch of bitches barking at you.
So when your gun goes down in gun class, and you're
welcome to my TED Talk.
This Justin has decided that from now on, every time somebody yells "fix it" in gun class, he's going to start barking. So it's just going to fix it. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
So the Johnny Joe owner, right? We're going to tell Johnny Joe, hey Johnny, every 30 days you should field strip your gun. Detail strip your gun.
Detail strip, yeah.
I would say at the range, you should field strip.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to tell Johnny Joe that every year on his birthday, you should change his optic battery.
Yes.
And we're going to tell him that every year to every 18 to 24 months, he should come to his trainer, his competent gunsmith, his armor, or somebody, and have them do a proactive parts replacement on wear parts, mainly spring cups, springs, recoil spring stuff, maybe some trigger work, maybe not. I don't know that I care so much.
I wouldn't if it's if it's Joe America, right? I would just say, leave it stock, maybe lighten trigger a little bit, but leave it generally. I would say bring it pretty much stock except for optics, the sighting platform. I wouldn't go as far as monkeying with triggers and loosening or lightening springs and things like that. I'd be hesitant.
Or if you're gonna have somebody tune it up for you that knows what the hell they're doing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I would for sure bring Sophie's gun to Frank and say, Frank this gun up for her. And I feel 100% confident in his ability to do it. I feel 100% confident in my ability, but my point is there's more than one way to skin a cat. Some of us that even might even differ on a couple ways to arrive at the same subject matter can get there safely still. But there's plenty of this. The industry is full of solutions looking for problems.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And the industry is also full of solutions looking for hardware problems that are frankly software problems.
Right.
And I'm kind of at this place where, like, listen, man, mechanical advantage is a thing. There's no question that a well-tuned Glock 34 with a 13-pound recoil spring, a 4-pound striker spring, a Overwatch precision polymer DAT trigger, and a brass channel liner with maritime spring cups runs like a rape ape for me. No question.
For you, right.
For me, I love it.
Right.
I love that. I like the feel. I like the recoil impulse, whatever. Frank gets my gun and he's like, ugh.
No, it's not for me.
I'll go back to my Glock 45 with my PMM comp on it and whatever. And
right.
Everybody's got their things. But my point is, I could hand Frank my gun and he'd be like, I know one thing, this thing's gonna work unless you put LAX ammo in it.
Damn straight.
Right. and that's okay. Like, but my point is when a guy, you go to the gun store and you say, hey, gun store guy, I'm having a problem with recoil on my handgun. I want you to help me I want you to help me with
Making it less.
I want you to reduce the recoil on my gun. And gun store dude goes, all right, you need this whiz bang 3000 recoil spring reducer 4200 da 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 da. The guy goes, great. And the dude at the gun store knows just enough to field strip that gun and put the kick-ass recoil spring in it. Has no idea how that spring counterbalances against the springs in the trigger return and against the striker spring. Has no idea how that affects the battery of the handgun. Has no idea that it could be causing out of battery discharges on the handgun. Doesn't know that the thing fails basic function checks. But he knows he's going to reduce the recoil, and that's all he cares about. Because
the whole time he needed to fix a software problem, a him problem instead of the gun being the problem.
So he's running around chasing $100, $150, $200, $500 solutions to what are software problems.
Right.
Now, once you get to the point where you can split a gun in the 30s and you want to go, man, what do the 20s feel like? And you start working on the software a little bit, and then you go, I bet you I could take a couple hundreds off with a recoil spring change and do some other thing. All right, then we'll talk. But if you can't split a Glock in the 30s, then don't be buying recoil springs to fix your recoil control, because that's not your problem. Right. So it's just, this is the same as any other. This is IT. This is cars. This is tools. This is, bro. If you don't know what a freaking socket wrench is, don't tell me you need a set of deep wells yet. You don't even know what a socket wrench is. You don't know how to use this tool at all. So don't go modifying it, changing it, and doing a bunch of crazy stuff to it before you're ready to rock and roll. Now, I'm going to make a big distinction between that and a category that I call enablers. Lights, optics, sights, grip work, right? I'm going to make this tool fit you better, fit you in your hand better. I'm going to give you the ability to use this tool for PID in a negative situation, as long as you learn how to use it from a white light and weapons retention perspective. And I'm going to give you a dot so that we can severely decrease your learning curve from a precision shooting standpoint, from the ability to track recoil control. Those are enablers. That makes the vehicle drive better. That's saying to somebody you shouldn't get grip work done on your handgun is kind of like saying to somebody, nah, man, whatever the car came with, you should absolutely not change the position of the seats in your new Mustang.
Right.
Fuck you, man. I can't reach the pedals.
Yep.
What are you talking about? It's got a lever right here. I can pull the seat up and reach the pedal. Nope. Run it stock. Okay. And, your man's out there running a gun that don't fit him the rest of his life.
Right.
I think there's a big distinction to be made there. And
have y'all seen the new Walther?
The F-Series?
Lady Fit? Yeah, the F-Series.
Yeah, I have.
They feel phenomenal as far as the felt aspect of the gun.
Is it because of your lady hands, Frank?
Yeah. I mean, it's actually why. Like, I have to get my grip reduction on my Glocks just because they don't fit my hands.
Yeah, I'd be really interested in shooting that. Tim put one in my hands when I was down there teaching.
Yeah.
Just like, real quick. And I was like, oh, that does feel different.
Yep.
But it's kind of one of those things where you'll start to feel those nuanced differences. Right now, if you're picking up a handgun, they all might even feel the same to you.
Right.
But
I'll tell you what, though, I've handled a few of the Walther PDP. You guys know I'm typically a Glock guy, right? But I've handled a few of those Walthers, the PDPs specifically. They feel really good. I can only imagine that the F-Series is just as good. Doc was running one at the class. They clearly perform well. I have no reason to doubt them. But yeah, at the same time, I can't. I'm so stuck on training the Glock platform, right? Just kind of is what it is. But
the Walthers and the Canics are, Canics pretty much just Walther clones anyway. I mean, they feel great. The problem that I tend to have with them, especially when you start getting excessive round counts on them, is the ability to really clean them. Like they're pretty complex. Their action is pretty complex, and disassembling all that and getting it back working properly, it's a little more. Takes some effort. Yeah, it's a little more than just dumping some stuff together.
I mean, but see, that's the thing too, right? To speak to the topic at hand, right? I have trained and shot Glocks so much. Like when I went and bought my 43X and ultimately my 48, and I've got 19s and 34s, and I've got my 34. I was able to, now aside from the 34 notwithstanding, because I've modified that one a lot with Kent's tutelage to get the recipe right, that I know what to expect from my Glock 19s to my 43X to my 48. I was able to hey, this trigger feels funky. Because look, these are mass-produced products. There's no reason why similar models, like specifically the 43X and the 48, when I bought my 48, I was like, this don't feel right. Something's off. Sure enough, I ended up taking it apart, polishing up what needed to be polished, deburring what needed to be deburred, and it was good to go. But because of I was letting the familiarity with the overall platform influence my ability to detect and identify problems with the new, with whatever the new was, right? That's another reason why I would feel awkward with moving over to a Walther PDP or something like that. Phenomenal guns. I have no reason to doubt them. Great quality, great quality control. Very good product overall, but it would, I'm concerned that it would take me too long to identify problems. Right?
See, and that's interesting. So we at some point we need to talk about the differences between different guns and becoming a master weaponsmith, like having the ability to be able to pick up a random off the wall gun and very quickly go, yeah, I can work this, without thinking about it. I think that'd be a neat conversation. There for a spell, Tim, myself, and one of the original Apache instructors, we read some books and really getting into being able to feel very proficient at any weapon platform. So we were getting some really off the wall stuff. I'm talking it's I was carrying an FN57 at the time, so that was the one gun I was able to go, okay, guys, here, try this, and it absolutely tripped them up. The way that you release the mag is just a little bit different. The way that how you field trip that arm is a little bit different. It's simple, it's easy, but it's just not the usual. So
I think there is a difference though, Frank, in performance.
Oh yeah,
mastery,
operating to a level of automaticity.
Right. Well, I'm confident I could pick up any weapon system and be proficient with it. Right. At the end of the day,
I'm not.
A pistol is a pistol is a pistol. A rifle.
Wait,
is
you're
a
not
rifle
confident that you can, or you're not confident that you can?
Yes.
Yeah, I knew what he was going to say. But we would have to define proficiency, right? But to demonstrate
built on that.
Right, but to demonstrate competence and proficiency to at least an acceptable level, right? Accuracy notwithstanding, right? Groups might open, close, whatever have you. But being able to put that rifle or that weapon system into service, reasonable, responsible, and
get it running
service.
Let it
get it running, right? I mean, as a defense contractor, we went through a whole, course on battlefield pickups. Right. It is what it is. However, my concern is as far as a gun that I'm going to trust my life with, let's be clear, a battlefield pickup is because that's the only option you fucking got, right? You need something, you need it now. If it was, a blowgun, it's what you're going to fucking pick up, right?
I've done that on Call of Duty once.
Right. But if you're going to trust your life to it intentionally, and that is your weapon of choice, there is a lot to be said about your familiarity with the platform to identify potential for failure. Right. Just like Kent with his magazines. He has learned through his proficiency and his familiarity with the platform that a Glock magazine is good for on Kent's round count, 3 to 4 years, right? His talking about dumping his 2018 mags, his 2019 mags, etc. Right?
Especially when you got friends like Frank subsidizing your training every time you hang out
Right.
together.
That's because you're a kleptomaniac. Like every time I get around you, I'm like, where the hell do these 10 mags go? Like they're gone. I see them on Facebook. They're up in Pennsylvania, wherever the hell you are, teaching a class. Oh, Ohio.
I love it. And they could be mine with just this.
Right.
Just this.
No, you need to get it for my mags, and you need to get a roll of duct tape.
Just write not Frank.
No, you use American flag duct tape. Just stick them on it.
I mean, nobody stole the Cock magazine. Just saying.
Right. That's right.
Oh, that's great.
Man.
By the way, thanks Limitless Laser Works.
Yeah, really. Yeah, you're still on here somewhere, ain't you? Thanks for the cock mag. That's pretty funny. Oh my God. So what about being willing, and this is what I want to end on, right? Being willing to stow your emotional investment in equipment.
Oh yeah.
So I'm gonna give you a perfect example, right? You were talking about those the Walther PDPs.
Yep.
A lot of folks might not know. I sold Frank and his missus there 2 of my Walther PDPs.
Yep.
She was looking for those, and she shoots them well.
Yep.
I shot them pretty damn well too, but from an emotional investment standpoint, I realized that I was splitting time on Walther PDP and Glock, and there was no reason to be splitting time. And I should probably be doing a better job just reinvesting in the upkeep of the equipment that I already have. A lot of it, right? Like when we talk, I think people kind of miss us when we start talking. You can call this a braggadocious statement or whatever. It's not meant to be that. There's 17 or 20 Glock handguns in this house that are fucking decked out, that have lights and optics and all the stuff on them that you could expect them to have. Multiple barrels, multiple recoil springs, better triggers, all the things that I do to guns. There's I think about 20 of them done up in this place. There's hundreds of mags here, springs, followers, all the things that this system relies upon. So I had to be honest with myself and go, you know what? I'm not going to divest and go down this Walther rabbit hole and now have Walther PDPs and Walther PDP mags and Walther recoil springs and all the stuff. And I mean, how about it, Frank? When I sold you those guns, I sold you a damn kit. I sold you a little, all the things you need for that.
Yep.
And you look at it and you go, there's emotional investment in those guns. I love them guns. Those are great guns. I'm not into selling them just for money, just for the hell of it. I love the idea that they went to a friend and a female shooter at that who's, you know,
that it fits her well. Yeah.
Right. And by extension, family to me. And you know what? I'm gonna sleep real well, feeling like, man, I hope if she does smoke somebody, she smokes him with that 5-inch full size bitch. I hope that gun gets a body on it. If it ain't gonna be me, then the hell with him. But I want her to give him the whole business with that thing. Like
right now, she's just hell on the the laser trainer on the wall.
Good. I love it. My point, though, is I made a smart decision over an emotional one.
Right.
Emotionally, I want to keep them guns.
Yep.
Now, drawing a distinction, if it came to you from your daddy or your brother or your buddy Frank or your buddy TJ, or if it means something to you, or if somebody engraved something on it for you or whatever, yeah, I got it. It's an emotional keepsake.
Right.
You're never getting rid of it. Even if it doesn't suit your needs anymore, you're going to keep it because you love it, you care about it. If it's a toy, you're going to keep it because you enjoy it. The minute you start telling me about a defensive tool that you start saying, no, I believe in this. I want this to work. I love this gun. These are great guns. I'm really into these things.
Right.
I love Glocks. I don't love Glocks. You come to me tomorrow with something better than a Glock that's just as reliable that I can maintain, upgrade, and keep going. Fuck yeah. I'm down with
Yeah, I think it is worth saying that while I do consider myself a Glock guy, right? I don't mean that to say that it's not reached fanboy status. I'm not going to go out and say, oh, everybody should own a Glock and this idea. It is very much a statement to this platform and this manufacturer has earned my trust. If you show me something that can earn my trust just as just to that same level or exceed it, my Glocks will become safe queens just like that.
Yep.
Right? And I made the mention when Frank was trolling us on a previous episode about AR-15s. If we lived in any other country, it would be an AK-47. Right? I pick an AR-15 because of the proliferation of the platform and the availability of parts. Also, I'm more likely if I end up in an abandoned house somewhere, if in a shit hits the fan scenario, I'm going to find one of two things: an AR magazine or a Glock magazine and or parts. Right? Sustainability is a big thing there. But I'm not married to the AR-15 platform because I love it, right? It's also earned my trust, right, through years of service and whatever have you. I get that. But with handguns, it's a bit different, right? There is a proliferation of all these different guns all over the place, right? So that support structure, as impromptu as it may be, is not really a factor that I take into account with firearms, or at least with handguns, right? That Glock has just earned my trust because I know them to be workhorses and I know them to be reliable and to have a high rate before they reach that point of failure to where they become unreliable. Right?
Hello, Moose.
But you show me something else. Right? Hell, I could pick up a Walther PDP and score the best consequences score I've ever had in my life on it. Right? Or whatever the fuck it might be.
Staccato. Right.
Yeah,
the best consequences score you've ever had in your life. So a 300.
Yeah, with the staccato.
I've scored higher than that.
299, 298.
Higher.
I can't wait.
A little higher than that.
One of these days, I'm.
You know what? I'm actually going to the range tomorrow with a buddy of mine. I'm going to start with consequences. Just 40. Should I do the full 40 rounds? You know what? I think I will. But.
You better not. You better do it.
First thing I'm starting with is consequences. Right?
You need to do it in front of a class. I mean, you got to. There's a high score out there somewhere. I don't remember who holds it, but there's a high score out there somewhere.
Turns out Scotty Cronin holds it.
Does he really?
Yeah. We were having that conversation the other night.
Give me that. I need that picture. I need to see because he sent me a picture. Picture of it.
Nope. The only thing that's going to settle this shoot off.
Yep. Now, it's my fault. It's my fault.
Side by side, lane by lane.
Yep.
Same time, whole class.
You hear me, gun set? It's happening. We're doing this.
Uh-huh.
The gauntlet has been thrown down, sir.
I can think. Oh wait, never mind. I was just gonna say there's gonna be a time coming up when we were both gonna be together, but that isn't the truth because you're gonna be being a daddy instead of coming to TACCon.
I am going to be a dad.
You good, honest, accurate, well placed, in the right spot in life, man. How dare you do exactly what you should be doing for your family?
That's right. Young go to hell.
Yeah, no. Listen.
Be like the rest of us and cast aside your responsibilities, good sir.
Yeah.
No, hey, listen.
Cast them aside.
Listen, if his wife keeps him around like she does, and she's clearly a whole nother species. I don't know what he is, but that woman is all damn woman. If he's keeping her around, he better do whatever the hell she says twice. Say yes, ma'am, both times.
Yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm, that's right.
Do it twice because the first time you did it, you better just accept that it wasn't good enough and just do it again.
Do it again. Just do that. Say yes, ma'am. All of us, all the guys I know have all married up.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
TJ ain't willing to admit it. He's sitting here contemplating it.
Oh no, I admit it. I was just thinking about everybody we know. Yeah, that's a fair point. That's a fair statement.
Tim Kelly damn sure married up. I married a whole nother species. TJ, I'm not sure what exactly you married. I think you married a really attractive witch with a dangerous attitude. And I don't mean witch as in mean. I mean spooky, ghouly, ghostly, crazy. She's nuts.
She is a self-proclaimed horror whore.
Right. She's all about that stuff.
As a matter of fact, she is with her girlfriends tonight at a haunted house.
Nope. Mm-mm.
She has been asked to go through haunted houses for free to vet them.
Nope.
They were like, yeah, like, hey, is this scary? And like, she's like, no, I'm not scared, not even close. Didn't even, not a hair stood up on the back of my neck, nothing. Like, do it again. I'm like, okay.
I feel bad for that 19-year-old when I'm trying to PID.
Uh-huh.
What's going on over here? What is this?
Yeah.
You real? You real, man?
Yeah, no, I'm convinced there's a hex on me somewhere.
Uh-oh.
It's probably why I lost all my hair.
Uh-oh.
Yeah,
what was that?
I
I heard some rumblings in the microphone. What was that, Frank?
Nope. I was told to quit making noise because I was upsetting the dogs.
Oh, I thought she was chiming in.
No, she was chastising me.
Uh-huh. See? That's what I'm talking about. Oh, geez. Yeah. Don't, guys, listen. Don't be emotionally invested in your gear. If you bought some shit and it ain't working, time to go. Get rid of her.
Yeah, prime example, the Box O holsters that we all fucking have. Although Frank probably has a shipping container full of holsters that he has tried and failed.
All the time.
I got a big box.
Did not meet his standards, right? Yeah, I mean that it's the same thing with guns, right? There's going to be guns that come and go. Don't be emotionally tied to any one of them. They're tools. At the end of the day, they're tools.
Right.
Like I abandoned a perfectly good staple gun for a much better staple gun after experiencing some of the staple guns
from Apache. I stole
what?
Huh?
Did you?
Staple guns, yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I had to Amazon them down some staple guns down there. I is sorry.
Mm-hmm. No, you're not.
Don't ever do that again.
Please never do that again.
It's never do that again.
Don't ever do that again.
Oh man, I think we got pretty far into the rabbit hole. We talked about cycles and maintenance and operations. We talked about what a normal person could trust. Talked about some aliens. We did a pretty good job on this. Do we want to wrap up with anything in particular? Did anybody feel like we missed anything? Or do we want to go back until all the guests and all the people on the show just fall off for boredom and craziness, and then we get down to absolutely no viewers? Your call.
I think we're good. I think we can wrap it. Frank's gone back to tinfoil Frank, so let's wrap it.
All right, cool.
Kent, what do you got coming up, buddy?
Defensive rifle metrics tomorrow morning. Teaching a good number of red-blooded Americans all about the finer points of defensive rifles and using competitive metrics to track their performance. If you've taken defensive pistol metrics, just double the distances, double the difficulty on the shots and the targets and the placements. Realize that I'm going to tell you right now, the class is almost the same goddamn class, just pistols to rifles, right? A lot of focus on enablers, a lot of focus on in the gun, on the gun, a lot of focus on a civilian defensive paradigm for the use of a rifle. A little bit different than the civilian paradigm that a guy like Mike Kinsey would preach about every guy's a rifleman and Minuteman and shoot jugs of water at 200 yards. And a lot more like just, hey, who am I and what is my likelihood of using this for defensive purposes?
Right.
Well, you're probably going to pull it out of a rack in your bedroom. You're probably going to have it, not chambered, cruiser ready. You're probably going to run the charging handle one time. You're probably going to flip an optic on and grab a light on the gun, and that's what you're going to have. You're probably not going to have night vision. You're probably not going to have load-bearing equipment. You're probably not going to have a battle belt. You're probably not going to have anything else on you in that defensive situation unless you're Frank and you sleep in all that shit.
No.
Right? I'm just picturing you in nothing but Blue Force gear in your glory. Just, yeah. What's the inner webbing of that belt touch? Oh, my God. Oh my God, that's terrifying.
Frank's going to keep it up. He's going to end up as a GIF.
Yeah, you just gift yourself. So that class is very heavy on the whole, like the why behind it, and of course metrics. So that's coming up this weekend. We got some med classes to round out.
You know what? We ought to organize a defensive rifle metrics class at Apache so we can go do that shit again.
Well, we might do rifles this time coming up at Apache. It's funny you mentioned that. Timmy and Frank and I haven't 100% squared away the details of my September 9th of 2023 engagement down there. But I have a feeling that it might be some different curriculum.
Yep.
I have a feeling it might be some different curriculum, and I have a feeling that we might get some outside help.
Yeah.
I got a working title for it, and it might be Cowboys and Indians. Yeah.
I'll bring my hat.
That's what I'm saying. Not IT Indians.
It's so fucking racist, you cocksucker.
God help us.
All the horrible shit we have said on this podcast, and you go that route. Thanks, Frank.
I didn't say like scratch and sniff. That was the next one I was going to go for.
Oh my God. The views and opinions expressed on this segment of the Sling'N podcast are solely those of Timothy Ramsey of somewhere in Tennessee.
And vodka.
Wrong. You're talking to that little asshole down there.
Jesus Christ.
And Tito's vodka.
And Tito's vodka. Yeah, Tito's vodka is sponsoring this episode. This episode brought to you by Tito's. Oh my God. Yeah, so I don't know. We'll see what comes of that. Honestly, what we're talking about doing is like co-teaching. I'd love to have an Apache and GMD class, a little yin and yang, if you will.
We've been rolling that around for a couple of years, so that'd be nice to maybe potentially put some meat into that.
I know it'd be really fun to do.
Yep.
I would very much enjoy it. I'd like to come down there and teach rifle, but I mean, I don't know. You guys got Fletcher does a great job down there in your own cadre, you know, and Kinsey's come down and he's taught his rifle class a good bit.
Yeah, but it's always good to have different opinions. You know, the same way, like, you know, we don't bring you down. We haven't brought you down to teach defensive potential metrics because you teach the same stuff that we teach. Right. You know, it's nice having difference in opinion. It's nice having, you know, hearing the thousandth and 10th way of, you know, the exact same thing that we're already doing, but just said in a different way. Like it's beneficial. If nothing else, it's beneficial as an instructor to be able to find that another nugget. So, you know, don't discount yourself as far as that goes, but that's,
yeah,
you know,
no, I don't know. My rifle curriculum is not, I literally do it twice a year, right? TJ's writing a rifle course for us right now. The TJ's going to draw from his military experience and time contracting and stuff, and he's going to draw up a more tactics-minded rifle class. I presently don't teach one of those. I teach the same class I teach with pistols, but with rifles, and I don't change much else. So it's something I do twice a year. My student base wants it a lot. It's something I teach a ton of private lessons with. Like I do teach a lot of private lessons on rifles and on shotguns. I don't know if I want to take that stuff on the road necessarily. I just don't know that if I'm only going to see you the way, and I'm not saying it's not good enough. I'm not saying anything else, but if you're in a locality, if you're in a market and I'm only going to see you once or twice a year, I should really be bringing my A game to that locality and market. I should be bringing the stuff that I'm like, God damn it, I'm just as good at this. And this is my best cream of the crop, top end information that I think everybody on the planet should hear. So I'm going to bring it everywhere I go. And where I stand out, I don't particularly feel like, other than methodology wise, I stand out a whole lot on the rifle thing. That's all. And you know what? It'd be a fun class.
Yeah.
And the facility is the way it's going. I mean, you guys are about to have that whole top field where the deer condo is and put berms on that bitch, and we're gonna have a 400-yard rifle.
Yeah.
So
we'll see. One day, maybe.
Oh no, I was already drawing up the blueprints while I was down there.
Oh yeah, that's a sanctuary, man. I don't know if we're gonna be doing much out there.
Uh-huh. Deer love rifle ranges. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, but no, seriously, if we and hello anybody who has a bulldozer in the North Carolina area, we're looking for somebody that can do push some dirt. That lower bay that we have, we're seriously talking about pushing that out to at least 100 yards. So we'll have that right there. On where our pistol bay is, we'll have the rifle bay down below that.
Yep.
That is what we would like to do. We want to do that, especially for Fletcher. He could use a little more distance than what we currently have available. But finding somebody to push all that back and do the work for us and not charge us, our firstborn child has been a little difficult here lately. So if we can find that, if anybody's listening, we need your help.
Yeah, I've seen guys with dozers that'll charge about $200 an hour.
Yeah, a good dozer. I mean, he'll be able to knock it out, but it's the gentleman who originally did all the clearing and everything for Apache, he did a phenomenal job. He really did. He did a great job.
Yeah, you guys got a beautiful facility down there, right? Like
yeah.
I was thoroughly impressed. I was thoroughly impressed with what you guys got set up out there.
Well, you're
Good
close
stuff.
from Kent, so you need to come out and come train with us.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, no, that's definitely on the docket. Once I realized exactly how close you guys were, right? Yeah, it was definitely a test bed, but I want to bring the wife and the kids out there and even just to hang out and get away. Maybe we spend a day on the range or whatever, but just to come out and hang.
Yep.
Right. It's such a beautiful drive too, man. I've got pictures coming back through the mountains, at this time of the year.
You go through Fancy Gap and all?
I don't think I went through Fancy Gap.
40. You took 40 or 77?
Yeah, I took 40.
Okay, then yeah. So you went through.
If there was anything, let me be clear, if there was anything called Fancy Gap, I missed the signage.
Yeah, no,
right?
Fancy Gap's north, but no, you went down 40, so you went through Asheville and the whole length of North Carolina, well, central North Carolina all the way to the west. So yeah, awesome.
But just like coming through the mountains, like I took pictures of it while I was going through. It's so good to be able to see that. I really appreciated it. And I appreciate you guys having me out again. But yeah, we definitely, another trip is in the works. I need to go through your Eventbrite schedule and take a look at what you guys got coming up so I can have an excuse to get back out there.
Moose like come drive 3 or 4 of Frank's cars.
Yeah.
So that is, I will say this, that the allure of Frank, all that is Frank, is purely out of just we're so like-minded in so many different ways. I can look past his cars because as a teenager I was a valet, so I got to drive all sorts of weird shit. So I kind of got the car system, like the car thing is out of my system. That being said, I want to drive the Goblin, like
bro.
Bro. So Sophie kind of beat me to the punch, but I want to play with that thing. I know. I'll tell you what. I know Charlie would go full hog on that sumbitch. That's for sure.
Don't believe it. Got to prove it. Let's go.
Oh yeah, we'll do it. Frank, what you got going on, man?
I got some classes coming up. Check out the website. We've updated the website quite a bit. ApacheNC.com. Rodney is actually doing this neat little instructor bio post thing. So he's posting like instructor bios and questions and stuff like that pretty regularly. There's some neat ones that are coming up here in the works that are already scheduled. So feel free to check that out. Again, same thing with the classes. Got some workshops coming up. Concealed carry class, pretty light moving towards the end of the year. But we'll take our usual winter break and then we'll kick right back up in the spring. But yeah, feel free to hop over there, check us out. Apache Solutions LLC in Yacksonville, North Carolina, and ApacheNC.com.
Do it.
Outstanding.
Go train there.
Yeah.
folks, that is all the time we have for this week. We appreciate you giving us your time, especially on a Friday night. We know we're a bit out of whack with our schedule, but we wanted to make sure that we could get the group aligned to bring you some quality content as always. We would be remiss if we didn't mention our affiliate links, greenmountaindefense.com/affiliate-links. We try our best to bring you some quality content free of charge. You're going to purchase gun stuff anyway, so you might as well purchase it from affiliates that give us a little bit in return to help us support what we do here. Will you two fucking knock it off? DarkAngelMedical.com, code BB15. That's Bravo 15 will get you 15% off at checkout. Although always check their website for regular seasonal discounts, as those often beat that discount code. We don't get anything special from Dark Angel Medical for that, but we do appreciate you mentioning in your order notes that the Sling'N podcast sent you, so that Kerry knows that we're showing him some love. Until we see each other again, God bless you all. Take care of each other. Get out and shoot.
TJ's just like, fuck you clowns. We're getting
Bye, guys.
cast. It's over. We're done. Nobody else to talk to.